Hello, 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 and happy Monday. How is everybody doing out there in Condi land? Hope everyone is having an awesome Monday. Everyone is getting motivated for the week for all of your big projects. We've got something absolutely spectacular today, something that I have been very, very excited about. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Chuck. Ashley, Tanya, Ashley again. Hello, happy Monday to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have a good friend of mine in the industry, somebody that I kind of came up with in the industry. And yeah, we used to work together. This is the first time in almost half a decade that we are teaming back up. It's been way too long, but if you can, check out everything going on at Condi.com. We got the 13 days of Mardi Gras going on right now, the sale. There's never been a better time than any time to check out everything on Condi.com. So without any ados being any which way furthered, even though I know my buddy Patrick Ali is a team Roman Reigns, and I am not, I welcome Patrick Ali from Siser. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
What's going on? And that is exactly right. Team Roman Reigns through and through to the day I die. So
hashtag Rocky all the way at WrestleMania.
What's going on, Bo? How's it going, man?
It's going great. How's the weather down there in Detroit?
It is sunny and a warm today, a warm temperature of 39 degrees. So good stuff.
Yeah, we almost had to put our air conditioner on over the weekend.
That's the problem. When I went to come down and visit you guys, 2 years ago now, I feel like it's been, and it was like, I mean, it was I would say this is the best time of year to go, worst time of year to go, because it's nice out, but it's super hot out, and it was raining like every 15 minutes, which was absolutely wild, man. So we were definitely enjoying the cold for sure.
Yeah. So, Patrick, Siser's got a lot of great things going on. Siser is an absolute great company, possibly one of the best in the industry. They are the funnest. They have the best people working for them, minus Dave. Great company. I am absolutely thrilled to have you guys here today. What products are we going to be working with?
So today we have a couple of different things that we're going to be working with. Number one, I'm going to show you guys how to do a cool project within our cutting software and our cutters, which you kind of at the very beginning of the idea thought process for cutters and software. I mean, you were still here when we started kind of getting the ball rolling and having those conversations. So it's going to be really cool now that you're on the other side, obviously not an employee of Siser anymore. It'd be really cool to be able to show you the cutter and the software from my perspective. But we're going to do a quick little Mardi Gras project, but we're going to do some mixed media. So we're going to be using some EasyColor DTV, which is an inkjet printable, pigment ink printable material that we carry here.
When you say inkjet, I just want to clarify for this, everybody here. This is not sublimation ink.
This is not sublimation. This is going to be pigment ink, or what comes in your standard desktop printers. Now, off to the side here, I have the big old Epson 24-inch roll fed. However, this works with Epsons, Canons, Brother Systems, Lennox, any type of printer that you have that prints that pigment ink. This thing has got you covered for sure.
The thing I also like, and I may be putting you on the spot here, is that Siser stands behind all of their products.
100%.
And it's hard to say that this works for every single inkjet printer out there, but Siser stands behind every one of their products.
And that's it. I mean, from development to actually producing a product to go out to the market, we really spend the time in R&D testing. And that's the most important, I think, for us, is not only the manufacturing process, owning that, understanding it, learning it, and then also being professionals at it, but also the setup process and making sure that these products last for many years to come. And sometimes we fall into them. So quick story about the EasyColor DTV. Johan actually had a sheet of this, or a couple of sheets of this, sitting in his house. Italy had sent it over, and it sat around for a couple of months. And then his daughter actually had a quick concert, and he's like, well, I guess I'm going to test this product that they sent us, because you know what, if it doesn't end up working out or it doesn't end up lasting long, it's for one night, blah, blah, blah. And it was the softest, it was the easiest to use. And then the inception of EasyColor DTV kind of came into the picture. And now we're here with multiple sizes. So you can get an 8.5 by 11. You can get it in an 8.5-inch roll by 50 yards. You can get 11 by 17, a 20-inch, and a 30-inch roll as well of the EasyColor. So no matter if you have a small desktop printer that only allows you 8.5 by 11, or maybe you have a little bit bigger unit like the one I have here that fits up to a 24-inch roll, or if you have an eco-solvent printer as well, EasyColor DTV also works with some eco-solvent inks as well. So it's really a lot of really cool products kind of blended and mixed into one, which is awesome.
Now, I don't want to say any Siser products have any sort of flaws, okay? But when I first got it and tested it out, there was a few 4-letter words that came out, and I was like, this is just as good as soft opaque, which I don't think is a product anymore. It was one of my favorite products, but soft opaque had a few issues. And this seemed to have fixed all of those issues. And you talk about stretch. Johan is a huge component about this. It's not just the stretch, but it's also the rebound back to its original shape.
And that's the big thing too. It's the stretchability of the product. It's the workability of the product. And one thing that soft opaque had an issue with, even though it was an awesome printable material, is it had an issue with sometimes the weeding and the masking after the ink was laid down and it was actually cut, because it was such a thin skin to the actual product itself. So with EasyColor DTV, it allowed not only for us to take one of the most expensive investments for somebody starting out in large format printing away, but it allowed us to have a product that not only was just as thin, it was just as workable, it was just as stretchable, actually, if not more stretchable, and it's just super soft on the garment. And that's what I think is super important with something like the EasyColor versus like a soft opaque. So, and they're two different categories, right? With the EasyColor DTV, you're set kind of in the, I don't want to call it craft world because it's very much a commercial product, but you're in the smaller format, less upfront investment into your actual work area or production area, as opposed to something like the Sublithin soft, or not Sublithin soft, I'm sorry, the soft opaque, which was a product that you traditionally have to have a big $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 unit to actually be able to use the product. So now we're getting people in the door very early on in their design process and in their figuring out their business, and allowing them a very cheap, effective way to be able to produce high quality garments, but also having really rich, full color designs in their garments themselves.
It's great. And this will also work on a Roland EcoSolvent printer?
This will work on it. Yes, it'll work on an EcoSolvent printer as well. Correct.
Cool. Yep. Well, we also, so once you go ahead and you print it off, you're going to need something else, which we're going to be talking about today too. I've got the Juliet in front of me. You have the Rodeo Romeo in front of you.
Yes, I do. I figured you had the Juliet sitting on the table, so I bring the Romeo so they could see both of them, you know?
Yeah. I am going to let you to it. I am here. I'll be answering questions.
Okay.
All of that. So take it away, Patrick.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bo. I appreciate it. So what we're going to be talking about first is the Romeo high definition cutter by Siser. This is something that we're about 2 years old in the process currently, in the actual development and having these things out into the market. And we're very excited and proud of what we were able to accomplish with this cutter itself. Now, I want to go really quickly over to different camera setups so that we can see actually the LCD screen for the cutter itself. And let me just zoom it in a little bit here so you guys can actually see that LCD screen that I'm talking about. Okay, so for the actual LCD screen of the Romeo, this is the same as the Juliet as well. There's a few different options that this thing comes with and why it's so robust. So number one, first and foremost, it's your navigation buttons. Now, if you notice, the Romeo, along with what Bo has on the table in the Juliet, is a full LCD touchscreen. It's not something where it's a dial or buttons. It's very simple to understand. It's very easy to work around and work through problems. So navigation buttons has this fancy play button that's directly in the center of those navigation buttons. And what makes that really interesting and cool is that it actually repeats your last completed job. So if I'm in a production environment where I'm making multiple of these quickly, I'm able to then hit that play button on the fly, make it super easy to go on to the next cut and the next cut without stopping my workflow or my process. Now, on every Romeo and Juliet has a home button. So as soon as I press that, you're going to see the head of the machine actually nest directly into the machine itself, which allows you now to always go back to what's considered that origin position. And we'll talk about that here in a minute and what that means. Now, on the actual Romeo and Juliet itself, they are Wi-Fi enabled. So the cool part is that we found that with anything that's Bluetooth, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here because I want to get a better shot of that LCD screen, and we'll focus this in just a little bit for everyone so you can see. There we go. Okay, so let's exit out of that view. There we go. All right, perfect. So in normal cutters and cutting systems that have like Bluetooth capabilities, they're great. But being able to network your cutter is going to allow you to connect multiple cutters in a high production environment and allow those machines to keep functioning and working fast and efficiently. Because we find that sometimes with Bluetooth, what usually happens is that's the first to go out in your network as opposed to your actual network settings or connection. With that as well, on the general settings menu, there are some great options within the Romeo and the Juliet. You can actually turn off the LED light within the cutter. And then if you're in a high lit visibility area, so say you're trying to accomplish what's called the print then cut, where you're going to actually print a page out or print a full color design like we will today, and you're able to cut it on the cutter, we can actually adjust the brightness of that LED light to accommodate any work environment. So for anybody that's using like lamination material, you guys know that's always a pain in the butt to actually be able to register. But one of the benefits of the Romeo and the Juliet high definition cutter is there's a full camera, high definition camera inside these cutters to register your print and cut. So no more optical eyes and does it fail, does it work, all of that stuff. We now have an easy way to accomplish these. So within the Romeo and Juliet as well, there's a couple of cool features that we've added in that are more adaptable to your environment. So if I'm somebody that may be, let's say, a little hard of sight, I can actually connect to a chime effect, as you can hear, and that'll allow me to know when my cutter's done. It works really well for me, especially because I'm a kind of person, I like to walk away from my unit when I'm cutting stuff out. So having that chime as well helps if I'm over in the next room, as well as an LED light for folks that are a little bit more hard of hearing. Here is a great accessible way that you're able to continue to cut and do these jobs on a regular basis, no matter what your environment is. There's a sleep function on every cutter. This is without saying. You can just set the time in which your cutter will actually go to sleep. And then it's in units of imperial and metric. We're an international company. So for us, being global, we want to make sure that we're adapting our equipment to everybody. So that's why you have imperial and metric, as well as 5 standard languages in the cutter as well. What's up, Bo?
You can connect this via USB if somebody hates Wi-Fi too, right?
You can, yeah. So that's the other part too, is that, and I don't typically have them. And when we're actually doing content in here, we don't typically have them connected, but there is a USB port that actually comes, or that's on the cutter, and there's also a USB cord that can connect your cutter
Stephanie
to your.
came in and answered your question. So
You said what?
Stephanie came in.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, if Stephanie's in there as well, she'll be able to answer any of those questions too.
And I want to make a dig at Silhouette. I think the Cameo 3 is the greatest cutter of all time. Like it maybe not the greatest, but
yeah,
you're talking about. I could step outside of this building and know that a Cameo 3 has stopped cutting. It is so loud.
Yeah, so that's
about
one thing that you'll notice.
To let you know that it's done, let you know that this is quieter.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you'll notice once we get into the cutting here in a moment, because I want to show you inside Leonardo too. And I got a really fun, quick project for us to do to show kind of the basic of our software and the pro side of our software, because there is a subscription model, but there's also a free version for you as well in the event that you're designing in another program and you just want to bring your SVGs and your PNGs in to cut. Again, with the precision of the Romeo and the Juliet, it's unmatched when it comes to cutting and weeding, whether it's a print and cut or regular heat transfer vinyl, PSV, stencil material, foam aboard, leatherette. There's a ton of different things that you can obviously cut with the Romeo and the Juliet. So you ready to hop into software?
Let's go.
All right.
I don't know about hopping, but
listen, this is something that's new for you, Bo, because you and I both did content recording, editing, stuff like that here. Check this out, man. We're multi-platform now, dude. We're able to go in different directions here during these lives now. So
I love it.
Yeah. So inside Leonardo Design Studio, we have this really cool Mardi Gras just design that I have. However, I was able to take some patterns that I found online and I was able to kind of enhance this design. So I'm going to go from start to finish to show you what this full design will look like. And then what we'll do is we'll do a print and cut. And then we're also going to add in some material, some glitter material. And I have this really cool bag from our friends over at Sanmar, just this cool little hoodie bag. And I think what we can do, Bo, is that if you're doing any winners and stuff, I'm going to send this to you, man, so you can send it off to whoever, if you're doing giveaways this week.
I love that bag. I've never seen one of those. This is my first time. I'm giddy like a schoolgirl over here. That's awesome.
Well, listen, maybe I'll send you a couple just because we got them in gray and black. So I normally do those when we do lives here at Siser North America. I'll usually decorate one of the bags, and it's easy for me to throw in a giveaway and give it to a giveaway winner just so they have something to kind of rock all the time. And I have been lucky enough to see a couple at shows too, which is always awesome when people bring them to us. So let's go ahead and hop into software. And actually, I'm going to get myself out of your way here. Okay. So inside Leonardo Design Studio, there are a ton of different menus and pages and things like that. So I'm going to go straight down the list, and then we're going to get into this fun project. So the home page is essentially all the things that we want to bring to the forefront of Siser, right? So right now we have an awesome deal with our friends over at Creative Fabrica for a free year on a reimbursement basis. So definitely check that out if you get a chance to. It's a great freebie. And as you know, Creative Fabrica has over 15 million designs, fonts, and all of that stuff to help you create a little bit more. And then inside Leonardo, we actually have a tutorials page. And what's really cool is that not only do we have inside of Leonardo, outside of Leonardo, and talking more cutter specific, but we also have some of your pro tools and how to use them. And then we're just going to continue to grow the tutorial section of our software. So more to come, as well as support videos and content as well. Now, the cool thing is within Leonardo Design Studio, there are a ton of inspiration designs on the design tab, or I'm sorry, on the inspiration tab. And all these are is pre-made designs by us here in the office. We have featured inspirations, and then we have many, many, many different categories. So let's see, one of Bo's favorite used to be retro. So let's go into the retro, check out some of the designs that are in here.
I want to see that mixtape.
The mixtape? All right.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your vibe, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
I like that. So we got just a simple design here that you can see how it's created. Now, the cool thing is with Leonardo Design Studio, though, and what I really love is that all the designs inside Leonardo Design Studio are actually created by our designers, graphic design team upstairs. So we have about 8 people that create all of the designs that you see in the inspiration tab, as well as the design library. And one of the big benefits for you guys is that the actual design library itself is completely commercial free. So you can use it to your disposal. But on the inspiration tab, you'll see your design already done on a shirt or garment, whatever the inspiration is, the supply list on how to actually complete that job, a quick blog style tutorial on how to actually do it. And then I can always save my design, or I can select make it right away. And what this is actually going to do is this will bring my design on over to my design board so I can create whatever I want out of it. Within the design library, much like the inspiration page, is full of designs that are all, again, created here, commercial free, all of that stuff. And you're going to find things by category. So some of the featured designs and stuff like that will be installed in here. But I can also drop down the categories list. And Bo, I'll let you pick a category that you want. So yeah, grab a category really fast out of here.
Let's go with fantasy and sci-fi.
Fantasy and sci-fi. So I can go ahead and click on this, and I have a ton of different designs and opportunities, options, things like that, that I can then create within that category itself. And the cool part, again, like I said, this is actually a design that I've worn before. I can select my design. I can either click open, which will take my design right over to my actual design board, or I can save it, and I can save that for later. Now, one of the cool things about Leonardo Design Studio is that it is partially web-based and then partially a physical download. So everything in software, from the home page down to your My Page, is going to be a web-based portion. This so we can update this in real time if we have any issues, if there's a clerical error, if a design's not working, we're able to then get in and push that back out to software as quickly as possible. And then the actual design page itself is a physical download. So there's no more guesswork in if I'm going to take my cutter, say, to a hockey game, baseball game, I'm setting up, I'm doing custom things. Or like for me, I do a lot of custom cheerleading things for my daughter who's in cheer, and then my other daughter who's a gymnast. So for me, I'm constantly creating things for them, t-shirts and all of that kind of stuff. Actually, Bo saw me make this like right before the right before the live started, or before this started here. But it's really fast and efficient when I'm saving all those designs, and then I end up taking my software offline. I have the confidence that everything's there for me. So it's all right in one place, which makes it really, really cool.
Yeah, it took Patrick about 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes to make that shirt in total.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And this is a cool one.
designs.
This is a newer one. Let me see if I can catch it
While
on this.
we're talking about this, is the Leonardo software, can you use that on your cell phone?
So you cannot use it on your cell phone. And that is a common ask that I think a lot of people have of, is there a tablet or is there an Android version of this software? And all I can say is not yet. Okay, we are working towards a tablet or iOS and Android supported software. However, we're just working out and making sure that everything is stable in software. Obviously, as Max Sonoma came, they had a little bit of a hang up in the just getting things accomplished and processed quickly. However, very soon. That's all I'm going to say for anything feature related, tool related, because I know a lot of people have questions about them. Very, very soon, we will have a large update with a lot of features and new tools, which I'm really excited about in software. So with that, from the design library is the material library. Now, I know Bo, probably one of the best people that I know in this industry. Like, I know him the best. And I know this guy is all about knowing the technical info behind stuff like materials, cutters, things like that. So this one is actually special for you, Bo. We have a whole material library that you can drop down and see all of our heat transfer materials. I mean, there's a ton of different ones that are there. I can go ahead and let's go to EcoStretch. I can go through the entire library of EcoStretch. I can select a material that I want. And the cool part is not only does it give me just a quick little thumbnail of the actual color swatch, but it gives me all of that technical information that you can also get at SiserNA.com. But it's all in one place. It makes it really super convenient and easy for you when you're using the software to not only find the inspiration, find the designs, but most importantly, now know how to apply those to your next design or your next workaround.
I love it. I love it. I don't like thinking. I like things to be there. I'm the person that throws the box of frozen pizza away and grabs it like 6 times while cooking to make sure I'm on the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. So now everything is here. And the cool part is that everything works just from the click of a button. I mean, we can bring up the sub menu quickly. I can get into a material, learn about it really fast. And then once I'm done learning about it, come back over to my design board. And here's one of the awesome parts about Leonardo. For people like Bo and I who are more technical and like to make sure they have everything lined up, inside Leonardo under the file menu is job notes. So now what I'm able to do is not only learn about the materials, get the designs that I want, but now I can start to build my job notes. And, you know, I can say, Bo, we're doing an XL for him, and we're going to do 12 of these. And then we're going to do Bo small, and we're going to make sure that we're doing 6 of them because that was at his request. So now I can start to compile all of my notes for each of my jobs, so that when I open up a project, I know that everything's there automatically, and I don't have to do any more guesswork on, did this design, what did I do for it last time? Is it something that I saved and I was going to come back to? Is it something that I want to create, or whatever it may be? So makes it super, super simple for you. Next couple of things are really quick walkthroughs. These are where to go to register your machines. And then also if we have any special offers, like right now is the Creative Fabrica, for any of our users or users that are buying Leonardo and buying cutters. Once you register, you can actually get a reimbursement from Creative Fabrica for a really, really good deal. On our profile page is a really interesting one. If you noticed, I actually hearted and saved that mixtape. So here's something that's really cool about Leonardo. Inside Leonardo, if I heart something, I'm going to save it. Or if I bring it over to my design board, that's automatically saving it to my recent design library files. And this is where I would go if I were taking my cutter offline, to ensure that I still have all of my designs and everything set up and ready to go inside the software itself. All right. Any questions about those pages? I know there's a lot of them, so I'm going to hop in really quick and see.
Right now we don't have any questions. You got a lot going on there. There's a lot. So if I buy the Romeo, you have the Romeo, I have the Juliet.
Yep.
It's opposite. The bigger one is first and the smaller one is second, and my brain has to think about that. But if you get that, you get the Leonardo software with either one.
Correct. Yep. So Leonardo Design Studio comes with both of the cutters, Leonardo Design Studio Basic. It's also the same exact software that if you go to CaesarNA.com, you can find the cutter tab and then find Leonardo Design Studio. You can actually download software without even having a cutter and start already playing with it. Same with the Leonardo Design Studio Pro, which does come at a premium cost. You can still download, you can still purchase the Pro, and you can still use Leonardo as a design software without ever having a cutter in the first place. So I always recommend to people, go over to our website, try out Leonardo Design Studio for yourself, see if it's something that's beneficial to you, bring in your designs from your other softwares, make sure that it's all going to work out, and then you can go in and purchase the cutters. Or Bo, you already know me. I dive in right away. I just hop in and I start buying stuff and trying it out. And it's fun to do that, right? Because this is a new system. This is not a commercial grade Roland Graphtec type cutter, which may be a little bit more complicated on the software side to figure out. This is not a craft software like your Cricuts and your Brothers and your Silhouettes, which are very, very simplistic softwares and easy workarounds in softwares. However, the cutting system doesn't really match the features and what the software can actually output. This is a perfect in between. This is the ecosystem of Siser, where we're taking high quality, we're taking great engineering, great manufacturing, and then we're simplifying some of the processes to actually accomplish this goal. But then you'll see in software, it's just as robust. It's just as much a design software as you can get it to be. You just have to play around and kind of learn some of the terminology and the workarounds, as we know.
Now, if I'm doing jobs like we're talking print and cut here, you can print to your printer from Leonardo and then cut from it. And you can also print to your, like you could print to the your Sawgrass printer as well, right?
Yep. So any printer that you can download your print driver, and that's a really cool thing. And I actually want to hop into software to show you some of these. And maybe what we'll do is we just hop into the project really quick, because we can kind of explain them as we go. So I have this Mardi Gras design that's actually a little bit more. So what I'm going to show you guys inside Leonardo Design Studio, and I'm really excited about this, is I'm going to actually show you how to bring in a PNG file, how to break it down to an SVG, and then we're going to also intersect and change some of the letters to have a pattern in it like you see here. So I'm going to open up a brand new tab. And the cool thing is about Leonardo Design Studio is you actually don't have a fixed artboard, right? You don't have a fixed canvas like you typically would see in some of the craft softwares. And you don't have just a singular page like you would see in other of the robust softwares. We're kind of in the middle. And what I'm able to do with a floating artboard is what we like to call it, is I can actually change the width and height to anything I want. So Bo, if I'm coming to you and I'm going to buy, say, a 12-inch by 1 yard piece of Easy Weed, I can quickly bring this into software and I can actually design to that 1 yard piece of material. Now, one of the cool parts is, let's say that I'm doing we'll do hello summer, because that's what we're hoping for, right? And we're just going to do something simplistic with it. Let's do this one. Be fine. I can actually bring this into my 1 yard piece, size my design. So let's say we're going to do these at 6 inches. I'm going to rotate this and bring this down to my origin point. Now, in the origin point of the Romeo and the Juliet, if you're typically used to your origin point being on the left-hand side, that is where it's at, bottom left-hand side. So more of what the commercial cutters allow you to do. A lot of the craft cutters, the reason why those aren't as beneficial when we're cutting larger jobs or we're cutting more intricate artwork is that it's actually feeding your mat and everything towards the back of the machine. So you don't actually get to see the cut, and you don't get to test and make sure as you get through your job, you don't get to really stop it if anything happens, right? So with the Romeo and the Juliet, because they feed more of a traditional commercial cutter where they feed towards the front, it gives you an ability to watch that cut all the way through to ensure that you're actually going to be cutting your material properly. You're not cutting too deep, too shallow. You're not having your blade drag your material and bend and crinkle it up. It's just making life a little bit easier for you. So what I'm going to do is let's hop back into software, and I'm going to show you by a simple click of a button of a tool called Tile Array within software. I can go ahead and I can align, and let me just bring this down to 1, change my gap spacing a little bit bigger. So I can actually change how many horizontally, how many of these designs vertically that I want within one page. And remember, I'm still designing to a 12 by 36 inch page, which is essentially a 1 yard piece of material that I'm going to then cut this out on in a production run. Well, here's the cool part. I've already got 27 copies, but let me just hit auto fit. And just like that, I'm able to apply 70 copies to a 1 yard piece of material with the click of a button. So now I'm mass producing at a very, very rapid rate, and it's making it a lot easier for me to then get into the actual cutting and the creation of my projects themselves.
So you know exactly how much to bill a customer for how much material you're going to use before you even start cutting.
And that's exactly why those job notes too become so important, is because guess what? Not only, let me actually go back to this really quick. This is one thing that I think is really interesting about the job notes. Let me highlight my whole design, select the job notes again, and check this out. Here's all of my job info, my page size, my boundaries of my design, the shape itself. So now I know down to the square inch how much material I'm going to be using and what I'm going to be able to accomplish, which then once I get over into my job notes only helps me to start deciding how much obviously that cost is going to be for my actual design or for my finished goods themselves, which is a really cool thing, I think. All righty. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring in this PNG by just simply importing it. I'm going to take you through some of the screens in Leonardo Design Studio because these are kind of important when it comes to actually designing. We're going to set up, because this is a PNG, it's automatically going to default the DPI count from whatever you exported out. If it's too high, it's going to select the highest the average it can. If it's too low, it'll let you know that as well. I can bring these in two different file types. Two different ways. I can make it a print and cut, or I can create just a background image. If I'm simply looking to print a pattern, I don't want registration marks, I can bring in a background image, deselect my page marks, and then I'm good to go. But for this one, we're going to bring this in as a print and cut because we want some cut lines to the actual design. Now, I always make sure that my mask tolerance is right around 50%. This is going to eliminate as much of that background as possible, get it as close to the actual border of those lines. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit next. And what you're going to see when I select next here in a moment is it's going to scan this image in real time, and then it's going to snap the cut lines for me. So right now we're scanning, and then there's my cut lines just like that. And we made it really, really simple. And then it's also really easy to see when there's issues within the actual scan. So as I'm going to go down to the bottom of the glasses, I can see that these little dots were excluded when we actually did this, but that is because our minimum contour area automatically sets itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this all the way down, which then now you see my blue lines around that part of my design. I'm going to select next, And this is a cool tool within Leonardo Design Studio where it's a live contour offset. So if I'm a sticker maker, I can actually make my stickers quickly by adjusting my contour offset, not including any holes. And now for, you know, Mardi Gras, I have this really cool sticker that I could have created with a slight offset. So now I can do my perf cut and my kiss cut all within the same sticker pack, which is really awesome. But for this one, we're going to include holes. We're going to bring our contour all the way down because we don't want to do anything with it. And now we're on our main design board. So from here, we have a couple of really, really simple steps that we're going to do. I'm going to deselect print and cut. So now you see that my image is considered a quote unquote background image only. Okay. So if I bring this off of my board, you can see that it grays itself out, meaning that it is a PNG file. But watch what happens when I do this. I can go down to the select or build contours menu. I can hit include holes, which is what we want. And then I can select editable contours. Now what the editable contours is going to allow me to do is remove the print. And then now I have an actual cut contours or actual SVG that I've just created out of this print then cut, this PNG. So do we have any questions, Bo, really quick while I get into the next part of this? I want to make sure I'm going slow enough.
No, you're good. We got DB in here, longtime watcher on Condi and longtime commenter.
Awesome,
they say that you're very thorough, and they watch you every time you're on. And
I appreciate it. I try to be. It's how my brain processes information, so I try to be as thorough as I can. But thank you so much. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Check this out. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make this Mardi Gras a little bit smaller because all we're going to be doing is extracting some colors from our PNG. Now, because it's a PNG, we can still extract colors from it. But the first thing I'm going to do is select now my SVG side. So I want to actually mark these both just so we don't get confused, because as they start to look similar here in a minute, they can be a little confusing. So let's go SVG, and then we're going to go PNG. Oops. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ungroup those really quick. Bring this up to my PNG, bring this side up to my SVG, and then what I'm going to actually do inside of Leonardo is I'm going to lock these two. So now this is going to live my PNG side so you guys can follow along, okay? So to actually break apart an SVG, okay, into all of its components, and I want to make something very clear. As you can see in this SVG, these are all singular shapes that make up the original PNG. So that's why this works really well. Make sure if you have a lot of gradients or you have a lot of colors that are blending together, sometimes it won't pick those colors up as well. But because everything kind of lives independently, we're able to then go to paths, ungroup paths, and now each of these are different elements that I can pull out of here. So we basically turn this PNG into a fully editable SVG project. So now, one of the hotkeys that everybody's probably familiar with is Shift when you're selecting multiple things within your own home software. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the M, and basically what I'm going to do is start color coding my SVG to match what my PNG is. And really all this is to ensure that there's some cut lines so that we can actually create the project. But I'm going to go ahead and select the M, looks like the D and the S. And then I'm going to use my magnifying tool to magnify into here. And it looks like, let's go D, S, and then the M. And then I want to say that there were some feathers. So we got one feather and then all the accent underneath the feathers, which is the side feather. Okay. So then we have this one, all these little circles here. And as you can see, Bo, like it's really easy for me to go in and just start creating and welding things together, adding them together. But check this out really fast. I can grab with my shapes that I want to recolor selected. I can grab my little eyedropper and I can actually find this yellow that I need. And just like that, I was able to start changing the color inside my design. So let's go again. Now we're going to find all the green. So there's the glasses or the goggles. There we go. There it looks like an R and an R. And a couple of these little tiny stars as well. Okay, so now that I have them all selected, I'm going to weld them together. They're all still selected, so I'll find my eyedropper, and now I've just changed those colors to green. And then what I'm able to do is just go through, and the rest we're going to treat as blue. Here's a really cool hack that I can do as well. If I select the black and then I come to this little gear and hit select same color, what I'm able to do now is, and I'll show you really quick with the eyedropper, is I'm able to select things quickly that are all the same color. Now, this only works, I will say, when you are at the point in your design where you have multiple colors to separate from. If I were to do this early on, like right up front when everything was one color, it's just going to select everything. So it's just a lot easier to really hone in the cuts when you, I mean, not hone in the cuts, but hone in some of the direction that we're pushing the software when we can ensure that that we're selecting the appropriate colors and appropriate parts of our design and adding those together. So now what I can do is the PNG, I'm done with it because we've recolored. So I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to also delete this PNG and this SVG because now we've just created one. And here is where the magic happens within Leonardo. Actually, let me do this. Is there any questions before we get into the next part?
Sorry, I lost my mouse there.
That's all right. That's all right. Any questions before we get into the next part?
No, everyone's mesmerized by this.
That's awesome. All right, so check this out here. Let me blow your mind for sure. So not only did we bring in a PNG, okay, we converted it to an SVG. Now let's take some patterns and let's start playing with patterns inside this design itself. So let me go ahead, and I have some, these are just 3 Mardi Gras style patterns that I found. I just did some research, quick Google, found some patterns that I wanted to utilize. I'm going to just select all of these, copy and paste them onto this board. Okay, and I'm going to work from these patterns one at a time. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit on my artboard. And for this first pattern, I'm just going to bring it around my design, and I'm going to move it to the back position. Okay, I know that it's kind of hard to see parts of this design, but it'll all make sense in one quick moment. I can select the yellow elements inside my artwork. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to ungroup those because I don't want to add the feather. I just want the S, the D, and the M to be welded together for this. And I'm just going to size my pattern around my text as close as I want. And I'm just going to fit it around to make sure that the pattern falls in the right position. And then check this out, Bo. I can select the text that I want to change into the pattern, hold down Shift, and then select my pattern. So now we're selected the letters M, D, and S and the pattern. I can go down, and this is a Leonardo Design Studio Basic option, or I'm sorry, Pro option. I can select intersect, and watch this. Just like that, I've now created a pattern out of that M, that D, and that S. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other 2 patterns, just to make it a little bit easier for me. So let's go ahead and bring in this one. I thought this was kind of a funky one. This is kind of cool looking. So we're going to change the direction just a little bit. And we're going to move all of these to the back. And let's go ahead and just shrink this down a little bit. All right. So I need a little bit bigger workboard, but that's okay. All right. And that's a cool part about Leonardo too, is that like if I need a little bit more space, I can quickly enlarge my workboard or my workspace without jeopardizing any part of my design, which is pretty cool, I think, at least for the software itself. So let's go ahead and do this one. I still want to ungroup these paths just because I want to remove some elements. So this one's going to be just the R and the R in the design itself.
You sound like a pirate there.
All right. That's fine. Then we won't, yeah, we're just going to do those 2.
Yeah, the R.
The R's, arg.
What selection, what is the section you are going to make to weld? Is that?
What do you mean? To like weld the actual elements back together?
Yeah, Mary, can you clarify that question? And is there a yearly fee for the Pro?
Ooh, good question. That's a really good question. So there is a basic, which is free of charge. That one you don't need to pay anything. The Pro We just ended a deal where we had it at $4.99 a month, which was pretty cool. But the normal rate for the Leonardo Design Studio Pro for month to month is $8.99 USD. And then all other countries, and I just have to say this is a global entity where all other countries will accommodate percentage wise, kind of the same deal. And then our Leonardo Design Studio Pro yearly subscription is like I think it's 109 or something like that. But if you buy the year, it's just standard. But if you buy the year, then it's 97 for the year. So it's actually I think it's honestly a pretty good price, all considering what it can do. But again, that's something that you're going to have to play around with it and see for yourself. But I do encourage people, get in and just try it. Play around with it, play with the system, play with the software. One of the cool parts about Leonardo Design Studio as well is that we're listening. We're always listening to you. We want to know how to benefit the software. We want to know how to get better. And that really comes down to you guys telling us what you like, what you don't like, and all that stuff within software too. So make sure that you continue to give us feedback. And if you're already a Leonardo user and a Romeo or a Juliet user, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting us and this whole goal that we had to really re-simplify the way that the industry thought about cutting and about subscriptions in general. I think we're all in the same boat with subscription models. However, we hope that we've delivered something different that's more beneficial to the customer.
I am noticing a lot of pro editing features in here. The intersect is one of them that I use almost every day.
Yep.
How you transformed it, that's something I do quite often in Photoshop. So
actually, no, I lied, dude. I'm sorry. And this was my surprise to you. So there's two tools that we recently, and I'm actually glad that I can tell you this now. There's two tools that we recently moved from Pro to Basic. And actually what we just did with the text and the intersect is in the Basic. So I just changed my workboard. And as you can see, this is all basic weld features now. And I'm like, I don't have certain text features and stuff like that. So the remove front, which is basically slicing, stamping, knockout, the remove front option is there. As well as the intersect was also moved from Pro to Basic as well. So those tools are available for you today if you go and download Leonardo Design Studio on our website. So let's see really quickly.
And as I said earlier today, Siser stands behind all of their products, and they have an absolutely wonderful technical support department there, or product support. That can help you with any problems you have. There's also you can join the Siser forums on Facebook and all of the socials.
Yes.
So there's a lot
Siser
of
North America support is definitely a great resource, being that you need additional tech support or you just want to learn from creators alike. That's the big benefit of the support group, right? Is everybody can get in there, share their fun projects, and hopefully learn a couple of things from everyone else.
Or if you're frustrated with something, they can help you not be so frustrated.
Oh yeah, that's the big benefit too, is just I think most people, they spend a lot of time being frustrated with softwares before they actually reach out and ask questions. Never hesitate to reach out and ask questions, because for us here at Siser too, we're just we're ready to field them all. We're ready to take them on and
you love dumb questions, right?
There is no dumb questions, for sure. Alrighty, so now we have our main design built. Not only do we have all of our portions of our design that are going to be printed, which will be these portions of the design, and I'm going to group all those together so we don't lose them, but now we have all of these cuttable elements that we're going to be using some of our heat transfer vinyl, which is going to be, I think I'm actually use 3 things of glitter. 3 things of glitter, and this is the theme I got going, Bo. Check this out. Trying to stay on trend, on theme, my man.
Do it. I love it.
Okay, cool. So let's get back into this. All right, so let's wrap up this part about it. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to size my design. Now, because of the actual piece that I have, or the actual garment that I have on here, which is that bag, I'm limited on my space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to size this to about a 7.75, or maybe I'll just go 8.
Hey, Patrick, I just want to let you know that your glasses and feathers are a little off. I don't know if that matters.
No, that's totally fine. Yeah, and actually, thank you for that. Here's something that's awesome within Leonardo. So my glasses right now are just a tad bit off. I can nudge things around within software. So I can use my directional keys on my keyboard. And let me actually bring you into this shot, which will show you. So I'm using my directional keys on my keyboard. And what I can actually do in software is I can nudge things around. Now, if I go into my directional keys again, and I hold down the shift button while I'm using my directional keys, what will happen is I'll get smaller little jumps. So now I can really work those glasses back into position and those feathers. So then now we get something a little bit cleaner. And again, that's actually a great thought that you had there, Bo, when we're talking about designing. Because remember, this could all affect the sizing of my design. If the glasses and the feathers and the stars aren't in the right position, but I'm trying to make everything the same size, it can definitely warp other elements of my design, especially if they're not grouped together or welded together, which in this case, part of it is print and cut, and then part of it is going to be actual heat transfer vinyl as well. So good call, Bo. Good catch. You still got it, my friend.
I'm sorry. It's hard when you're doing live things to pay attention to everything.
No, it is sometimes, man. And here's also another benefit too. I want to show you something. So with every Romeo and Juliet, you get a cutting mat that will come in the box. Now, you typically will get a black cutting mat. That's our high tack mat. The red is our light tack mat. But watch what I'm going to do really fast with this garment. So a lot of times we struggle, right, to find certain things like, whether it's, and I'm just going to bring this camera back just a little bit. And I'm just going to make a quick adjustment because we want to make sure that everybody can see this. So give me 1 second here. There we go. All right. So with my garment itself, this is with a shirt or anything else, I have on my mat, as you can kind of see, I have a starting point 0, 0, which is the bottom left origin of where all of our cuts start, but it also has a grid on it. So what makes it really easy is I can take this mat and I can kind of line it up. So I know my design is 8 across, which is right about there. I can ensure that it's not going to be too wide for my garment. And then this one is also 6.5 tall, which is going to bring me up a little bit far or farther than I would like on this garment itself. So now I know that I got to make some quick adjustments. So what I'm going to do inside Leonardo is I'm going to accommodate for that height difference it is, and I'm going to bring that down to 5.5. And now what that's going to do for me is it's going to bring my actual design, overall design, to about 6.5 or 6.6 wide. So now I know that everything that I'm actually designing is going to fit within that area of my garment itself. So let me go ahead and throw that on the heat press. And then we're going to hop back into software. So now what we need to do is we need to set up our print and cut, and we need to set up our cuttable or cut only. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take all my cuttable stuff, all my HTV elements. I'm going to copy those, and I'm just going to bring them onto a new page. And we can actually start cutting away on those as we're setting up the print then cut job. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send design. I'm not doing anything differently. And now I have all 3 of my elements or my different cuts that I'm going to try to execute here. So let me go ahead now. We're in software. Let me go ahead and just adjust a couple of things on my side for the Romeo. And then now let's get right into the actual cutter itself. Now, if I have just a sheet like this, I found some extra spare sheets around and I thought that they were good, easy scraps to grab from. You don't necessarily need just a small sheet. You also don't need to use a cutting mat. These cutters cut matless, which is a really cool benefit of the cutter themselves. But in the event that you do have rolls, this will fit anywhere from a 2.5-inch piece of vinyl all the way up to a 25.5-inch piece of material, or 25-inch material. So if you are somebody that uses like smart vinyls and stuff, I know there's probably not a ton of Cricut users in these types of lives, but in the event that there are, especially in the craft space, you can actually cut all of your smart material itself too. So you'll see too, my LCD screen, it times out as well. So all I got to do is give it a little touch and it will light back up for me. But what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is I'm going to load my cutter. Now, there's two ways to do this, okay? Number one, there's a main pinch wheel or pinch lever in the back. And what you're going to see when I put it down is that these actual pinch wheels that are in front will lift up off of the actual grit rollers themselves. Now, this just gives me a chance not only to line them up, make sure that my actual pinch wheels are above a grit wheel somewhere on the actual cutter themselves. But once I'm comfortable, I can feed my material through using the guide strip that's actually on the, as you're looking at it, left-hand side. And now I can put my pinch wheels up in the up position themselves. So now what we can do, go ahead and pop this off and pop this back on. Romeo's been through a lot today, so.
So Patrick, I call
Yeah,
those areas the Gnarl, named after Gnarl Barkley.
Yeah, the Gnarl Barkley. I like that.
I like that you call them the grippers.
Yeah, I call them whatever, man. Grit wheels, grippers, gritty teeth, whatever it may be.
So you are doing right now something that is very important, and that is called a test cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was actually going to say. That's something we added for you, Bo, because I know that you're big on the test cut, and I know Stephanie's in.
I can see somebody did a test cut before this because I can see that T-shirt on the table.
Because you see the little T-shirt. Well, that was from the one that I'm wearing right now. So let me do this. And then obviously, as you already know, Stephanie, she's in here right now. So her big thing is test cut, test cut, test cut. So all I'm looking for is I'm just looking for a clean test cut around my design. And the cool thing is you can't miss a test cut from Siser because they're obviously cute little T-shirts because that's what we're about. So now that my test cut's done, which traditionally I wouldn't have to bring my material out of the cutter itself. It's just because it's like sitting in front of me. I want to make it a little bit easier for myself to work around so I can show you. So now that I've done my test cut, here's another really cool feature to Bo's point about the test cut. How do we ensure and how do we double check to make sure that our design is going to cut appropriately or cut what we want it to cut? Number one, first and foremost, the easiest way is going to obviously be to run, do an auto weed box. This just gives us a boundary to our cut. It allows us to weed a lot easier. But we have this fancy little tool in here called the area test. And what this area test will do, once I select it, it will actually run the perimeter of your design without cutting anything. So I'll do this one more time for you so you can see it in real time. But it's running basically the outside boundary of that auto weed box without actually laying the blade down. So I can have the confidence that when I get to the cutting portion, which I'm going to do right now, I have confidence to know that it's not going to fall off of my material and my design won't shoot off of the mat or whatever it may be. Just make sure we're a little bit more accurate, but you can hear it. Kind of. I feel like I can hear more of the I feel like I can hear more of the air conditioning unit or the air unit than I can the actual cutters. All right. So we got one portion of our design here. Now I'm going to go on to the next portion. And the cool part is that I've already actually done all of my test cuts. So I know that these are all going to work accordingly. All I have to do is make sure that my next cut is set up and ready to go. And then do a quick area test to ensure that we're going to be a-okay. And like for this one right here inside software. So this is right now, this is vertical. Okay. So I can take this design if I want, and I can rotate it and then bring it into the actual origin and make it horizontal if I want to conserve more space or more material. So let's go ahead and do a quick area test on this one here. Make sure that it doesn't go off of my design page. We're good to go. And then now I can simply send that to the cutter. While that one's sending, I'm going to do a quick weed on this just to check, make sure everything is working out well.
Yeah, and Patrick, Evelyn on here is saying that that feature was only on higher end machines. Don't let the prices fool you on the Romeo and Juliet, because these will match something like a Graphtec or a Roland. Oh yeah.
And that's the thing too, is I think a lot of people, when they first try the machines, you know, that's where we get a lot of it. I mean, you've obviously gone to many shows, many trade shows too. So it's really interesting to see when people say like, oh, I didn't expect that. And it really is. It's one of those things that you don't expect to be in awe or amazed by it, because again, it's another cutter, right? But even for me, somebody that has used multiple cutters, multiple different softwares, I mean, you're in the same boat as well of using multiple cutters and multiple softwares. It's been like the easiest for me to understand. And I'm partially biased by saying that, right? Because I helped actually develop the cutters and software. But it just feels like it's made that workflow so much easier, to where I'm even getting stuff done for like my wife and I, just side projects and personal projects done super quickly. To your point, right before this, you actually watched me make this in a very, very, very short amount of time. So, all right, just peeling that off, making sure we're good. That one peeled fine.
We have Jody in here who has multiple Romeos.
Is that Simon Eddie?
Yeah.
Simon Eddie. Hey, Jody.
She's saying something that I don't really understand, but she's saying can't wait for the new tools. What new tools is she talking about?
See, Jody, you're making me spill all the beans here right on this thing. So we do have, which is totally cool. So we do have some tools coming, which I'm really, really excited about. We have a crease tool coming and an etch tool coming. And the crease tool is going to be for your card makers, box makers, stuff like that. And then the etch will be more of your engraving tool, which is going to be a really, really cool option. So if you're doing any types of acrylic, metals, aluminum, stuff like that, I think it's going to be a really awesome addition to the team, especially with the Romeo, the Juliet, and how high powered and precise they are already. We're really excited for that one. So let's see what we got here. All right. What else do you got? What else do you got on the docket today, Bo?
Later on today we are having Nikki, the sassy subber, come on. She's great. She's going to be doing some pickleball stuff. And
I love it.
If you don't have enough Siser in your life, we are also going live next Monday again with
That's
Stephanie,
what I was getting at.
So Stephanie says.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's going all out. We're saving the best for last. She might not agree with us, but we're saving the best.
No. Definitely saving the best for last. I'm here just for some funsy couple of projects. That's it. She's the one that has all of like she's got all the real tricks up her sleeve too. So I'm excited to see. What is she covering? Do you know, or can you not say yet?
I cannot say yet.
Okay. All right. That's totally fine. I'll have to tune in like everybody else and watch, I guess.
But I know that she's going all out.
Okay. See, the thing is she's going to one up me. Like I told you, we just recently in the last couple of months have redid this studio set. So this used to be the decoration zone wall, which used to be like a brick, or not a brick. It was a wood panel, like wrap. And so she's got a whole setup at her. She's beating me in all categories right now.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's all right. All right. So this is the cool part is too, I realize I'm missing part of my design, which are my glasses or my mask. So I'm going to look for that really quickly. Get that one going. Because the cool thing is about heat transfer vinyl too, is that in the event that you ever have an issue where, you don't see something pop up or maybe something doesn't cut, you can always fix it quickly.
Were you thinking it was stuck to you?
Probably. That's what I'm thinking right now. Which one is that? Well, we'll keep moving on. We'll keep going, and then we'll add the mask in afterwards. We'll show the good people. Okay. So now that I have the 3 pieces, okay, of my heat transfer vinyl all done, maybe it's in the gold. Maybe that's where I'm missing it. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually send on over our cut file a print and cut file for the other portion of this design. So now that I have that copied and pasted to another page, let me go back into software really quick for you. Now that I have this portion of my design copied and pasted to another page, I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and we're going to turn this into a print then cut. Now, what we have to do, really, really simple, whether you're using Leonardo Design Studio Basic or Pro, you just hit the build, cut, contours. And now from here, I can select whether it's a print and cut or an editable contour. So much like you just saw us do, where we created from a print and cut, we then created an editable cut, which we can cut on regular HTV. Now we're reverse engineering it and we're recreating a print and cut again. So on the print and cut menu, I can include the holes, which basically just make sure that all the cavities are included. The other portion of it is I can choose what type of corner style I have. Typically, the software will pick round. I prefer round. Feel like it's a little bit easier path of succession to get the whole cut done. And then from there, I can also choose the offset amount. Now, what's cool about Leonardo Design Studio, whether basic or pro, I'm going to show you that right here in software, this blue line is actually my cut contour. Now, I can change the offset amount up if I want to create more of an outbound contour, or the other part is I can do what's called an inset. So I can slightly set the actual cut line into my design to ensure that once we get to the actual cutting portion of it, that it's going to cut into the ink as opposed to just cutting directly to the line. Now, with the Leonardo system and with the Romeo and Juliet, they are super, super accurate in the cutting and the precision of the cutting. However, sometimes we want to add that inset just to make life a little bit easier for ourselves. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and expand this just a little bit. And as you can see, these crop marks are directly next to the Mardi Gras, like the actual design itself. What I can do is two different things. If I want to make multiple copies, which in this case we will, because currently right now I'm going to change my page size to 11 by 17, which we're good. Just like that. So you saw that I changed it to a larger print and cut size. Depending on whatever your printer can output and your Romeo can handle or your Juliet can handle as far as width, then that's what you can actually print and cut or accomplish with that cutting process. So I'm going to go ahead and snap my page marks all the way around my page. And from here, like I showed you before, I can rotate this. I can use that tile array tool, which is a pro feature, hit auto fit, and I can get multiple cuts out of the same page itself. Now, if I don't want to snap my page marks all the way to the edges of my paper, which you can already see these margins are super small, I can go ahead and deselect page marks, which will bring my registration marks around my image. And then I'm just going to change the spacing to like 0.125. I just want them a little bit further out. And the only reason that I want them just a little further out is every once in a great while, especially with a high definition camera, sometimes it can try to register, same with an optical eye, it can try to register the design instead of the registration mark. Typically, we don't have that happen, but we're just keeping ourselves safe. All right, now I can go ahead and select everything, send it on over, and you can see just like that, that it actually created a print and then it created the cut for me. So I have both that I can execute here today, which is really, really convenient and simple for me. The other portion is I have all my registration marks with an EasyColor DTV, much like a pattern, or much like regular PSV or your sticker vinyl. You're not going to mirror your image, okay? So we want to make sure that it's all readable, because what it will do is it'll print out readable on your page. You'll contour cut around it with your cutting machine, and then we're going to use a TTD mask or a mask to actually transfer that on over, which I hope I have a piece of mask here. If not, we're going to have to improvise, which would be okay. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I have my desktop printer set up, an 11 by 17 page. It's on my T2100, which is the Epson that I'll be using. And I also have my paper in the back ready to go. So now I can just simply hit send to printer. Now, depending on, this is a process that we have to talk about. And as you see that pops up on screen, I want to explain this. Depending on what type of printer system you have, and I'm just going to select print while we're talking here, but depending on what kind of printer system that you actually have will depend on the print manager. So like Bo had mentioned up front with Sawgrass, they have the Sawgrass print manager that comes, and that's the driver where you can change profile settings, you can change what your print setting output looks like and everything like that, and you get a preview of your design. Well, Leonardo works the same. It goes based off your physical downloaded hardware of your printer inside your software, not just spitting out to a random printer or random system. So just like that, let's go ahead and get this page out now. As you can see, it just printed, and for us, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 different designs that it just printed for me here, right like that. So it made it really, really easy. But whatever our printer can output, if my printer, this one can output 24-inch, I can go about 23.5, almost 24-inch from side to side on a print then cut. So I can get almost the maximum output of this printer. So that's why I love to couple like the larger Epsons with the Romeo, or the smaller Epson, you know, I think it's a 1500. The smaller Epson with the Juliet, is because the compatibility between both of the machines work really, really well. So let's go ahead and get over to the cutter cam here. That's what we're going to call it for this one. And I'm going to basically accomplish the same process that I did before. What I want to do is I want to take my material, and I'm just, if you guys see me really easily putting in the material, it's because, number one, I've done this a ton, but number two, I've just found the easiest methods or the best ways to do things. So I can use that pinch wheel, and what you should be using is a standard. However, you can actually just push your material right up against the pinch wheels and it'll feed for you without any issue. Now, what we have to ensure, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this portion because I think it's really, really important.
You can have a pinch wheel in the middle of your graphic.
You can have a pinch wheel in the middle of your graphic. Now, that all depends, obviously, on the dry time and what that material requires. With an EasyColor, we shouldn't have any issue because it usually dries almost immediately for the most part. Now, if it doesn't for this one, then hey, we're just going to roll with it. But from the 2100, I never really have an issue with it. So, okay. So now you guys can see that the actual blade itself of the Romeo is directly inside of that pinch, or that registration mark, the bottom left registration mark. Okay. And the reason why it's just inside is it's going to move over. What it'll do is it'll basically move over slightly, and it's going to register that mark, and then it will move on to the next registration mark. So let me go ahead, back this up a little bit so you can see this more in real time. And actually, let me see if I can catch part of the LCD screen. And the reason why I want to catch part of this LCD screen is you'll actually see this material in the camera capture the registration marks as it goes through the process. So let me go ahead and send this on over to the cutter. And I want to take off this auto weed box too, because we don't need that. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And what you'll see in real time now is it'll register your first mark. And you can see that the LCD screen is taking an image of basically that registration mark, letting it know, hey, I'm coming to cut something. I need to know what parameters to do. And just like that, whoops. And we don't want to bend up our material. All right, let me just reset this really quick. And every once in a great while, sometimes that happens, right?
So what's great about the optical eye is you're not guessing. The optical camera, you're not guessing where the registration mark is. And also,
right. I'm going to set these up a little different.
You know, something like a silhouette with the sensor, sometimes you're not sure if it's dirty, if there's ink on it. So
yep.
with the camera, you'll 100% be able to see if there's ink on it, if it's not being able to. So it really takes the guesswork out and lets you focus on something else.
Yep. And I actually realized what I just did here. I didn't actually change my physical cut setting itself. So within the Romeo, make sure that you're changing your cut settings, because then that kind of stuff happens. So I'm talking too fast, and then I'm not changing it here. But I'm just going to change my cut setting right now to what I'm comfortable with DTV, which is a force of about 9. I keep the speed pretty traditionally the same, right around 10. I just find that that's a little bit easier. Now, for this cut that we see happen in real time, it will probably eat up that first, now that we're through this and we've started to cut the material, it may eat up a little bit of that first design or first portion of the design. I'm actually not too worried about it. The only reason being is that I have 4 of them to use. So for this particular project, we're good. But as you saw, it started to cut with less than favorable odds, and I was able to change that right away. So it just makes it a little bit easier, I think, when you're actually executing your cuts. Oh, let me go ahead and bring this over here so you guys can see that.
And Patrick, this is not sublimation. Condi viewers are used to sublimation. This is not sublimation. This is not Easy Subli. This is Siser DTV, EasyColor DTV.
Yes. Yep. So this is EasyColor DTV.
Printed in your standard inkjet printer.
Sorry?
It's printed in your standard everyday inkjet printer.
It's same thing. Yep. Same thing that you would do your kids' school paperwork on. This thing is cut on.
While it's cutting, the washability and the wearability and all of that?
Yeah, so for the actual material itself, it applies at a time and temperature right around 305 to 310 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds. As far as the long-term usability of the actual material itself, I mean, as you know, being part of our former tech support here, for us, we don't really push anything out the door unless it's had a minimum of 30 washes in a positive test run. We don't like to push out products that we know won't live on forever, and won't have a lot of longevity. So it's really one of the big goals for us at Siser. But let me go ahead and get back to that cutting.
And you can use this in a Epson EcoTank printer.
Correct. Yeah, you can use it in an Epson EcoTank. We've tested on a bunch of different cutting units, and all of them have given us pretty good results.
So I'm trying to hear your cutter and I can't.
I'm telling you, it's super, super quiet. And just like that, you're seeing this thing in real time. It is executing a print and cut. I'm looking at the line work, and the line work seems like it's pretty spot on. But what we'll be able to do is we'll start putting this together here in a minute, which I think will be fun.
So watching you do this live, I'm realizing that you designed the back feed. It's great for live presentations. It makes it
really is. No, I really like
it
a lot. Like even if I go to this, even when we're in a trade show style setting, like it's really easy to talk about the cutter. It's really easy to see it. And also too, when you're in an environment like I have, where I have a desk, a wall right here behind my cutter at home in my office, it's like, it makes it so much easier to just kind of hop in and be able to, start seeing where everything's going.
Yeah, I always hated when I was cutting something and then almost all the way through it, it's like, oh, the cutter's too close to the wall and it's all jamming into the wall.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But again, like I said, overall, I think it's an awesome.
Oh yeah,
it's an awesome piece of equipment for sure.
It's a solid investment, in my opinion.
It really is. It really is. And and I'm not just saying that again because I helped to build it and create it. It's something that for me, even as somebody who has made, helped to make the cutters and software and all of that stuff, it has helped me to increase my production in my own home business, which is really, really cool. It's just, again, it's become kind of a staple in our home, and hopefully for a lot of, Jody's a good example of that. I know she's got a gang of them. So, all right, let's go ahead.
And no, you don't have to wait for that ink to dry.
And you don't have to wait for that ink to dry too, which is a good one. All right, let's get onto this cut or this press really quick. And sorry about the adjustments, guys. I just like to make sure that you guys can see everything that's going on.
Oh no, it's great being in focus.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to be in focus. All right, so I'm right up here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is now we can start prepping our garment. But first, let's get a good little peel on this material itself. So let me go ahead and back it up just a little bit. There we go. And then right about there, you can see both, right? Now you can see the material. You can see the cut or the blank itself. So I'm just going to go through. I like to test my cavities or test my calibration by weeding out all the cavities. I think it's a fast, easy way to see if your cutter's calibrated correctly. This one looks like it's pretty good. And the cool thing is with the Romeo and the Juliet, they come pre-calibrated. So you shouldn't have to, do anything right out of the box. I know with a lot of the other brands out there, especially in the cutter, like craft space, a lot of times people get them and they're already all out of whack and you have to do a bunch of calibrations and a bunch of workarounds for them. So, but what I am going to do is right here is where my registration marks end. I'm going to actually save this little space because, Bo, I don't know if I even told you this. One of the cool parts about the DTV too is I can actually write on it with a Sharpie and seal that in.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so now I can save that little piece, save that little piece for doing some labeling or, my wife, she likes to label everything.
Yeah, yeah.
That she knows that I'm going to lose everything too. So she labels the kids' school stuff. She labels cheer stuff and, everything pretty much in our house, which is awesome.
So if you had your own clothing brand, you could just make a custom label for the inside of your shirt.
Listen, or this is a way to start a kid out to learn, the art of creating and making things, right? Get them some DTV, get them some Sharpies, let them design something cool, make a t-shirt out of it. They wear it, they show their friends. Now their friends get excited about it and everybody's happy. It's just one of those things that crafting and creating and owning businesses and stuff, that can all be part of your normal, your normal work life, or I mean, your normal home life too. And sometimes getting like the kids involved. That's one thing we like to do at home. We like to get the kids involved in making and creating new things, just because they find a lot of peace and happiness out of it too. It's almost like therapeutic, I think, for the whole household. So, all right. So now we have our one piece. This is our printable piece here. These are all of our cuttable pieces. And what I'm going to start to do is something that we've shown a ton here at Siser, where this is actually, let me do this one first. This is actually just the process of putting together some of, oh, that's why I realized, Bo, now why I'm missing the mask is because I didn't cut the green one out. I didn't cut my green layer. So, but one thing that we do show here quite a bit is we show how to actually take your design and layer it before you put it on the garment. I'll show you in 1 second here. So let me knock out really quickly this mask portion, and then we can really get into this. So let's go ahead and send, and we're going to do the mask. Grab my green one more time. Whoop. I'm going to grab one more piece of green here, Bo.
You can also, before you, like in your artwork, put a registration mark so that you know where to lay each piece down, couldn't you?
You said, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
You can put like a registration mark, like a circle or it's a square, cross kind of thing, so that when you lay down each of your 3 pieces of Easy Weed,
yeah,
you know where to lay them down correctly.
So actually, one thing you can do, let me just get this piece running really quickly, and I'm going to show you a quick trick that I think is pretty awesome, actually, within Leonardo. So let me just make sure I get this one on. Don't need a test cut because we already got our cut settings from the last time we were cutting. Everything's still the same. Let me go ahead and send this design, mirror it, auto weed box, do a quick area test. We're just going to make sure that it doesn't fall off of my page. We're good. And then send to cutter. Okay. So once this sends and now we have all of our information off of our screen. Let me show you something kind of cool. So I could take all of these designs, and instead of sending them as separate pages, I can hit don't separate by color. Okay. And then one thing I'm able to do is I can go on to, I believe it's the edit. Not the page marks. We had a way, and I know that I know Stephanie's probably going to yell at me and say, hey, it's right there. Oh, there it is right there. Okay. So I can go ahead in the arrange menu, hit alignment marks, and now you see these like squares that are up here. I can send all of this information. Oop, I don't want to send them out separately. Sorry. I can send all this information so that now each layer will have those marks on them. So it just allows me to know kind of what's going on within the software itself. And that actually is a really good tip and trick for the screen printers. So if you're a screen printer and say you're using like pressure sensitive vinyl or sticker vinyl as your screen print screen, basically, which is one that Jennifer Sanderson over at Pigskins and Pigtails, she does a really good job at showing that process. You can actually use those alignment marks, and it'll help to keep your registration for your designs.
Yeah, I was thinking like stenciling and painting. You put a piece of painter's tape down,
Yep.
paint your registration marks, your down, and then you know how to align everything.
Yeah, and that was the main intention behind it, right? It was like, let's find a really cheap, easy, convenient way for people to be able to actually register multiple colors of their design all at once. All right, cool. So now we have our green down. We're good. We have restored order in the world again, Bo. Are you headed to any shows this year? I saw you at Printing United last year for a little bit, but
currently I am not heading to any shows.
Gotcha. Do you guys still got stuff going on in July or no?
Yeah, probably. The open house. I'm not sure if it'll be in July or we haven't talked about it yet.
Okay. Got it. So what I'm doing right now, and this one's going to be kind of hard to see, but what I'm able to do is I'm able to kind of line up and I'm going to hold it to the side just so you can see it a little bit better. But I lined up all 3 of my colors together that will be a part of this design. And now from there, what I'm able to do is take my DTV, which my DTV cut flawlessly. Looks really cool. We have a nice, awesome little pattern that we made. Go ahead and take some of the transfer mask.
Oh, I was going to say, Patrick, if you don't have any, we have the mask in stock and available here at condi.com.
Nice. Well, there you go. I got one little piece, but I might need some more. So maybe calling you, or I might know some people that I can take it from, maybe upstairs. All right. All I'm doing is burnishing this down. You don't really need to a ton, but what I always do is I call it a soft peel. Okay. And this is what I mean by that. Take your material or take your whole design on the carrier and just roll it back gently. And all you're looking for is you're going to see that if any pieces are starting to stick up, if any pieces are not adhering to the actual transfer, and as you can see, nothing's happened. I usually rip it fast. Sometimes I rip slow just in case. We want to make sure the ink's dried so that it will catch the material and all of that jazz. So what I'm going to do now is I can go ahead and put the beginning of my design or the start of my design up on my garment and line it up. And then what I want to do is I want to take the other parts of my design and make sure that all of those are going to be lined up appropriately, which actually I did a pretty good job this first time that I lined this up. Not to toot my own horn, but all right, cool. So now you ready, Bo, for the press?
I don't know. Should we take a lunch break?
I don't need lunch breaks, man. Come on.
All right, come on. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Right. Let's give the people what they want to see. All right, so let me just zoom this in. Let me make sure that is. We want to zoom into this guy. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Okay. So now that I have all of my designs stacked, this is 4 different layers, right? I have my DTV as a bottom layer, and then I have all of my vinyl layers on top. Now, I don't want to jeopardize my DTV layer, but I wanted to make sure that my vinyl portions of my design will line up properly. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to remove every layer besides the bottom layer, which is that DTV layer for us. All right. And I'm going to reverse my order that I just did this in. So what I want to do first is I'm going to put my vinyl design down first, and then I'm just going to check it quickly with my DTV layer. Make sure that all of that's going to line up properly. Cool, cool, cool. All right. That works. So now I have all my layers minus my DTV layer. And then I can just start pressing away. Now, I didn't pre-press this particular garment itself just because it's a bag. I'm not super worried about doing a big pre-press on this. But a good rule of thumb is you should always do a pre-press on your garments. It just helps get a little bit of that additional moisture out, as well as kind of shrink those cotton garments down a little bit for us. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down my next layer, which is my gold. But what I'm doing the whole time that I'm putting these layers down is I'm going to bring back my DTV layer because I just want to double check and make sure that my design is still going to line up accordingly or the way that I want it. So that's perfect. That'll line up. And all I'm doing is applying these for about 4 seconds or so each with glitter. That's really all it takes to release the actual material from the carrier itself. And allow you to apply. But what we're going to do at the very end, and you'll see me do this, is we're going to go ahead and do a final press as well on our design. So let me go ahead and check my green. There's my purple. There's the gold. And then the green can shift just ever so slightly. Cool. Again, just checking the purple, the gold is there, the green is there, and now we're cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and apply now my glitter layer. And this is the last of my glitter. So 3 layers of glitter heat transfer vinyl, and then now my one final layer of my EasyColor DTV. So what I'm going to do with the EasyColor, because it much like an Easy Weed, I can go ahead and hit it for a couple of seconds. And that's all I'm going to do is I'll hit it for maybe 3 or 4 seconds. Make sure that we're peeling fine, which that looks like we're peeling up perfect. And then I'm going to actually do something that a lot of people don't see often, is I'm going to grab wherever that went. Oh, here we go. So this is actually the cut sheet or the carrier sheet for the DTV that I did. So I'm just going to cover up that DTV one more time. Now I can use a cover sheet with this, or again, I like to use just that DTV cover. It works as a quick, fast cover sheet that's already built in basically to what you're doing. And then just like that, once we're done with this application, we've now created a pretty cool, at least in my opinion, pretty cool Mardi Gras Day design.
I love it. I love it. You can put a whole bunch of what they call them throws down here in that bag. You can put your moon pies in the front pocket.
I love these things. You know me, I'm a hoodie guy. So for me, I said the one thing that they were missing, and this was my feedback, is that it doesn't have an actual hood. It would be cool if it like looked like a hoodie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it.
I thought it was a pretty nifty bag. So I like using them all the time when we're doing stuff.
Do you know the thickness of the DTV?
The thickness, I could probably find it in about 2 seconds for you. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the good news is at CaesarNA.com, just so you guys know, if you are looking for any materials, if you're looking for thicknesses of materials, stuff like that, definitely can go to Siser NA. So let's double check really fast. You should be able to
go to in Leonardo. Shouldn't Leonardo have it under the information section?
So that one, yeah, let's double check in. Actually, that's a good checker though. But it looks like here, let me just hop in really quickly. Looks like here it is about 100 microns thick. So with that, I will say this though, the one thing about EasyColor, and I'm just double checking in software while we're talking, the one cool thing about EasyColor DTV as well is just the fact that it feels way thinner. It feels way softer than that. So it's actually surprising that it seems thicker than it actually is when you try it. Let's see. I'm not seeing it anywhere on here, Bo. So we're gonna have to add that in. That'll be we'll call that the Bowfax.
Yeah, sorry.
In the material library. But about 100 microns thick or so. But honestly, it does not feel that way.
Yeah, and at a measuring, Easy Weed is about 70 microns. I believe it's 72.
Anywhere from like 70 to 90, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on which one. But other than that, I mean, it's a super simple process. So we took you through EasyColor DTV, took you through Leonardo Design Studio, Pro and some Basic. We're able to show you the Romeo, do a fun project, all with hopefully teaching you and learning you a thing or two. That's the big goal. So let's see if anybody's got any questions here.
I think you did a really good job going through everything. You were very thorough.
Thank
Jody
you.
Loved it.
Listen, Jody she's an A1 from day one. She has always been following along. So I appreciate you so much, Jody. I don't think you understand.
Got people in here loving Siser Glitter. I love Siser Glitter.
That's awesome. But this is the thing. I'm sending this to you, Bo, so then you can give it to somebody.
Awesome. I love it.
And it won't get stuck in transit headed to Stephanie's house, because I know she's going to want to steal my bag because she loves these bags too. And she's all about Mardi Gras. So yeah, I'm going to make sure to ship it to you directly. I promise.
You should. Yes. I loved it. Thank you. The great job going through all the stuff on the cutters. Very, very thorough, going from the basic, functions of this to the, through the design software, all of that, through the cutter, the point of the eye, the little doohickey in the back here that raises and lowers it. Awesome job.
No problem. Thank you so much for having us, man. I appreciate it.
You can get what is it? It's a 45 and a 60-degree blade, easily changed out in there.
Yep.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Siser has excellent technical support, all of that sort of thing, product support. I don't really think that you guys left anything out, really, to be honest.
That's a good thing. When we sat down and we talked about this, it wasn't with the intention to have the next great thing in the industry. I mean, obviously that's what we wanted ultimately, but that wasn't why we set out to do this. When we originally set out to build these cutters and build a software and build a team around it and have all these incredible people to help that process, it was really to start bridging the gap between the craft user to the commercial user. There isn't really anything in between there that is like helping people right out of the box, open the box, start making money, start creating, start learning, unless you're out on a bunch of YouTube videos. Now, granted, we make YouTube content. So for us, it's great. Thank you for supporting us. You can also find Siser North America on YouTube as well, has TikTok and everywhere else that you can find any other company. But the main point of this is that for too long, people were told that the subscription model had to be a specific way, and it wasn't for them. Inside Leonardo Design Studio, if you have Pro and you decide to use our subscription, not only do you get to create your own designs inside Leonardo, but you get to keep your designs within Leonardo and outside of it. You can save as a Leonardo Design Studio file, or you can export as a PNG, JPEG, an SVG, and a TIFF file. These are ways that you're now able to take all of that hard work that you've put in, all of that R&R and all of that R&D that you've put into the software to really learn it and hone in your skills. You can take those then outside of software. You can use them on other softwares. You can use them on other cutting systems. You can bring in files into Leonardo. So it was really just to make sure that there was a way for people to have total freedom, as much freedom as we could give them, right, with inside this package that is super cheap. I honestly, for a commercial style cutter, I mean, for a $699 price point and a $499 price point, soon to be a little bit lower for the Juliet. I mean, I don't see, yeah, sorry. I don't see any, you know, any big flaws when it comes to the cutter itself. Software, on the other hand, that's why we need you guys' help. Go on to Siser NA, download the software, play with it. Let us know what we can improve. Let us know what you want to see next. And that makes it easier for us because we get to just build something for the community. So it helps for sure.
And Roseanne, I got a question. It's to me. She's asking if Condi sells to everyone or just commercially. And Condi sells to everyone. Go ahead, give us a call at 1-800-826-6332. Check out Condi.com, create an account, or give us an email at salesteam@Condi.com, and we can get you over to a sales rep. We sell to everybody here. Call your rep, ask them about sales specials on the Siser cutters, all of that. I do love that it did bridge the middle ground, and it strongly bridged the middle ground for anybody wanting to get a cutter. I think a cutter is a fantastic thing, whether you are doing vinyl, sublimation, you know, scrapbooking, crafting, all of that. It's a great cutter or a great tool that I think everybody needs. Something I like about it, Patrick doesn't even know about this, is that it's got a round end on it, and especially the one you have in front of you. If you angle your phone at it, it also works as a sound amplifier.
I like that. That's actually good. You want to know one really cool trick, and then I'll end this?
Yeah.
Check this out. So this is a fun one that we wanted to add into the cutter that we haven't even really told anyone about. So I'm going to grab this really quickly. Oh. Check this out, Bo. Just regular old charging cable. That's it, man. That's all it takes to charge your phone.
So it's also this, I can put this on my nightstand at night and charge my phone as well.
Not only does it work to make your projects awesome, this is a piece of artwork and it's functional. You can just plug in a phone to it. You can plug stuff in. You can have a good time, beat bop some music, you know, while you're in your room working. So we tried to think of everything little that people might want, but also think of those really cool things that people might just say like, oh, wow, I didn't know that you could do that. So being able to just plug it in and charge your phone or charge an accessory or run a fan or whatever you want to do in your craft room, you can do it.
I love it. That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Stephanie even says mine's hooked up and charging while I'm watching.
I know I'm always wanting to charge something somewhere, and I'm going to take advantage of this now. You know, whether it be a microphone or something.
Yep.
Yeah, that is awesome. So, yeah, give us a call, 1-800-826-6332. We're looking forward to what Stephanie does next Monday, 3 o'clock, I believe. The 12th, Monday, the 12th, February 12th.
Is that when the 12th is, Monday?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. This was a lot of fun. We'll have to do this again sometime. Very informative. And yeah, I think that's it. Unless you have
All
any
right.
other last words.
Listen, all I got to say is thank you guys so much. We appreciate to you, the Condi team, for putting this together. Being able to participate in these things only help us to get the word out there more. So thank you to you two guys. Thank you to everybody else too that's presenting during this thing. Wherever you come from, there's a ton of knowledge and information that's going to be happening. So make sure that you're watching these because these are all day, right? These are every day for until Monday, correct?
Yeah, at 11 and 3.
Perfect. So make sure that you're watching all of these sessions. If you can't see all of the sessions, find a way to go back and replay them because they're really important information. Not only if you're in the cutting vinyl world or sublimation world or screen print world or you know, the non-cuttable material world, whatever it is. There's a lot of lessons to be learned by these types of events. So make sure that you got a pen and paper handy. Make sure you're taking notes. Get a chance to see all the things that you that Bo and the team over at Condi's putting on. But other than that, man, love you guys so much. We appreciate you, Bo. Appreciate you guys at Condi, and have a great rest of your day.
See you guys.
All right. Bye, everybody.